All right guys, today we've got a launch scanner. They sent this to us, they wanted an honest review. That's what we're gonna do. Let's get into it. Here's how it comes. Cable was not attached to it. I already attached the cable to it, just came in the case. Cable was back here, you know, pretty minimal. Came with a little charging brick, cable, instruction sheet. So good little case though, sturdy little case. And then tool itself. Let's plug it in. So while I'm doing this, just want to let y'all know at the end of the video, I'm going to rate this thing on. I'm going to give it a rating on three different aspects of it. So hang around, watch to the end. So here, one good thing about this, I've used this just a little bit. It's not on right now. It's completely off. I'm just going to plug it in. If I can find my DLC here. So I just plugged it in, car's running, and here we are playing the slot machines here. All right, so it picked up the VIN. I didn't have to do anything. All I did was plug it in. So that's the correct vehicle. It's a 2014 Lexus GS350. So I've gone through this. Go ahead and just pick the connector. And it's going to run through a couple of different screens here. Then, you know, got to get the couple little options here. That's all correct. Pretty fast. I mean, you see that I'm, you know, going through it pretty quickly here. It's changing screens pretty quickly, so it's pretty responsive. We went through, I've done this, so it's going to go through this little process. That's going to get to another screen. So here we go. This screen, I timed this already once. It took it exactly 1 minute to scan this vehicle. Like I say, it's a pretty modern Lexus. I mean, you know, it's 10 years old, I guess 9 years old now, but you know, it's got quite a few models in it. So it's definitely not a, you know, not a simple car with just a few modules. It's got quite a few in there. So it's gonna, we'll see how long it takes. This time, like I say, it took about a minute before. So we see it's going through pretty quick. We got, as you can see, we got quite a few models here. We got coming to the end here. And that's looking like it's going to probably take about a minute again. And that's exactly 1 minute. It's done. Came up with a nice little report. I did set a code in the engine module. There's nothing wrong with this car. I set the code in the engine module. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. You see all the models are coming up. So we got an engine module code. We got a BCM code. We can click on that. Sunroof, communication. Sunroof works fine. And then we had something with the navigation. But you can see we've got, you know, pretty much all of the models are represented here. So that's good. I did share this report. I wanted to see what would happen if I shared it. So all I did was I hit the button. It came up to put, you know, who do you want to share it to? I put my email in. Let me show you how it came through. So this is how the report came in. So we got all the vehicle information. You know, I could put my shop name and everything in the tool. We haven't done that, but all that came through. We see the 3 codes that are in the whole vehicle, and then we see all the modules there. And we've got, again, broken down a little bit. We're showing you. Didn't try clicking here to see if it would show anything. Oh, look at that! Even this is the pretty much a complete report because it actually showed me the codes there. I didn't realize it would do that. So that's pretty neat. You can send that, you know, to your client. You can send that to yourself if you're a do-it-yourselfer. Send that to yourself. Keep track of what you've done in the past or what's been going on with it. If you're a professional, send it to your client so they can know what's going on with the vehicle. Always good to do that before you ever touch a vehicle. Do a full vehicle scan before you touch it. That way you're covered. You know exactly how that vehicle came into you. So I like that. Pretty straightforward, simple. Okay, so there's the report. Let's go ahead, back out. Now let me tell you, don't make a mistake. Don't hit that button again. It will take you completely out and you will be starting over again. I made that mistake. So we see here, we got the crankshaft code in this car. I'll show you how I set that. I did that because I wanted to see what this thing was capable of doing, the scanner. So this just gives you a little something about the engine control module. Just going into the engine control module now. It's going to it pretty quick. I mean, you can see this thing's pretty quick at accessing everything. Obviously, we've got our fault codes. Got that, okay. Let's go into data stream. We all expect to get data. I mean, that's pretty much any scanner. We expect to get all the data we possibly can. So let's go into here, see what we can get. I've gone in here, and what I really like to see is how fast does the data update. I mean, a lot of that's the car, but some of it is the scanner. I just grabbed a couple of PIDs that I knew were going to be able to move around some. Let's see here. Let's go into engine RPM. Let's find that guy. We see we got misfires. That's pretty good. You know, if you're looking for an intermittent misfire or something like that, put that up, and I'll show you something that you can do that I do when I do that. I want runtime, I want speed. Here we go. Let's get so we just did a video recently on long-term, short-term fuel trims. Let's go ahead and grab those. Let's see here. It also has, if we notice, let's go here, monitors. So we got catalyst monitors. All the monitors are in this data. It's good if you live somewhere that has emissions testing. A lot of times people will go in and clear the codes, turn the light off, and then try to go in and get it tested. Not going to pass the test if all the monitors haven't run. So this is a good way of knowing what monitors have run and haven't run. You can also do that in OBD2, but we're in the vehicle here, so it's good that it's available in here. Let's see here. There's our long-term fuel trim. I'm going to go ahead and get the mass airflow sensor. And then let's get the short-term fuel trim. I know I'm scrolling fast, everybody, but you know, I'm just trying to. There's tons of data here, so we'll go okay. All right, so here we've got all the PIDs that I just picked. Now, all of these PIDs have the availability to be graphed. I did get a few PIDs earlier that did not have this little icon next to it, so you could not graph them. Now, here's the one downfall I do see with this. I'm able to hit that, and I'm able to graph that, and it's going to work. It's engine RPM. There we go. Okay, we would expect that. Only problem is I can only get the one graph on the screen right now. So, and it's good if we want to monitor one PID, but generally we're monitoring more than one PID when we're graphing something. So, there is a way of graphing more than one thing. If we go to combine, now we can pick the things we want to graph. Now, we can only pick 4 things. I'm going to show you what it says if I try to pick more than 4. So there's 4. Okay, if I try to hit 5, it won't let me hit the 5th one, and when I try to, it says maximum 4 data PIDs for graphing. So I can only pick up 4 data PIDs for graphing. So I picked up the long-term and the short-term fuel trims, hit OK. So there they all are on one screen. A lot of people I know, they like doing it like this. They like overlaying it like this and seeing them all on one graph. That's not my favorite. I would much rather see them in individual graphs. This is not capable of doing that. But on this particular, in this case, we can definitely get the data on here. It does work. It does update fairly quickly. For me, it's just a little busy and it's a little hard for me to decipher. But there's some people who absolutely love it like this. I mean, you can definitely get the job done this way. I just prefer it a different way, but everybody's got their own way of doing it. I do want to see when this thing goes off if it rescales. Well, we saw that it scaled right there when I did that. Let's see if it'll rescale to make it easier to read. Yep, so it does rescale, so that's good. So, all right, let's go out of that. So that's the data and the graphing capabilities. Not bad. Again, I would prefer something a little different, but not bad. For 400, I don't know if I said this already, but it's $465 for this thing. So for $465, for this thing to be able to graph like that, 4 PIDs, all the data that's in here, it's pretty doggone good. So, all right, let's go ahead and back out of the data. Here's something that I really like to go into. I like going into actuation tests and special functions. So actuation tests, otherwise known as bidirectional controls. Let's go into here. This is how I set the code in this car. I went in and I went in to control the VVT system, variable valve timing. You can monitor data while you're actuating things, but I'm just going to go into data. If I wanted to have the data, it would just be listed down here, and I could see things change. So let's just try this. Let me go ahead and hit on. The engine is going to stumble. The engine's stumbling right now, wanting to shut off. That means that, you know, so that did actuate that cam actuator, so that's good. So the one thing, so it's got quite a few things in here, obviously, that we can do. Another good one is cylinder cutout. Again, I won't monitor the data. Let's say I want a cylinder number 2. I want to just shut off cylinder 2 fuel. It's misfiring on 2 right now. I can feel it misfiring. You know, if you're trying to figure out, you know, what cylinder's misfiring, or, you know, is it affecting something, you can definitely turn these off. Again, we could go into a whole video on cylinder misfires, and if you want that, we do have a few videos that go into misfires, but if you want to get deeper into it, let us know. We'll do a video on it. I can spend a day on misfires. But a lot of bidirectional control availability here, which is good. I'm going to tell you, everybody, right now, check this stuff on a known good car, because a lot of times it'll have it listed and you'll hit the button and it didn't do something, and it may not have done it. So the only tool that I know of that 100% when you hit the button to do a bidirectional control, that we can be sure that it actually did the job or did turn the thing on or off, is a factory scan tool. But listen, you're talking $465 here compared to thousands of dollars for a factory scan tool. You know, the only thing you want to be aware of is just check it on known good cars. You know, you sit here and play around like I'm doing right now, you know, see if it works. So that way you get an idea of what does and doesn't work on it. So let's go into special functions. So special functions, we've got the VIN. I actually went into this earlier, I was surprised. It does give me the availability to write a VIN. I'm definitely not doing that, but this could be, maybe you put a used module in this car. If it's available to have it done, put a used module in it, write the VIN, reset the security, you might be okay. That's a, you know, learn as you go kind of situation on used modules. But oil light reset for the do-it-yourselfers. Here's your oil light reset in here, or even a professional. Hey, a lot of times you have to do it through the scan tool. A lot of times it doesn't do everything in the car. Even though we reset it in the car, it still has to be done. Matter of fact, on this vehicle, it has to be reset in the car, and it also has to be reset on the tool. Otherwise, it'll set a it'll give me a reminder. So check mode on a Toyota or Lexus just makes the 2 trip codes happen set in one trip. So, you know, good stuff here. So very, very comprehensive in the engine control. I would expect that. I did go into the anti-lock brakes. I wanted to see what was, you know, a lot of times in these scanners, they'll do a whole lot in the engine, but then when we get into other modules, they kind of fall short. This one actually is pretty doggone good in the ones that I've gone into. We've got a lot of data available to us in the anti-lock brake module. I mean, that's a pretty comprehensive list here. So, and listen, just a side note here. When you're looking at data, pick the things you want to look at and only put those on the screen. Don't try to look at 95 PIDs at one time, because I will tell you, I don't care what scan tool you use, if you put 95 PIDs on there and you scroll through it, the update rate's going to be incredibly slow, because it has to look, the module has to put this one up, then this one up, then this one up, and then goes through 95 and then starts back over again. So just a good lesson to know is, when you are on any scan tool, when you are putting data on the screen, only put the minimal data that you need so that your update rate's faster. If you need to know more than that, put in the comments below. Again, let's go into actuation here. We got quite a few. I did test a few of these out. They do work. Quite a few PIDs here that we have bidirectional control, or quite a few items that we have bidirectional control on. So that's good. Went into special functions. You know, we've got you know, quite a few special functions. We've got air bleeding. That's going to be bleeding the brakes. There's possibly a special procedure for that. Possibly the scan tool's got to go through with that. So I like that. I did go into the body control also, just to see what it's available, because body control a lot of times are things that we really want bidirectional controls on. We want to be able to check things real quick. So you know, maybe we want to check lights, or who knows, you know, wipers, or, you know, there's a security horn. I did go through some of these too. They seem to all work, but here's lights and things. So if you have let's say you got some daytime running lights that aren't working, you want to check part of the system. Well, if we go in here and we actuate it here and it works, then a lot of times you can look at the wiring diagram and go, okay, well, you know, if this actually made it work, that means the body control module put out the signal. If it works, then we can just look at what's input into the body control module and go that direction. So this kind of eliminates half the system if the bidirectional controls turn something on. So hope that makes sense to everybody. But a pretty comprehensive list here too. So special functions, we can get the initialization. That's for putting in a new body control module. I will assure you this would have to be programmed, but there's going to be some initialization. This is not going to be able to program. And then you can customize. A lot of times what that is you can make the body control module for whatever options the vehicle has. We can customize it with that. Sometimes you can customize it to what the owner wants, the vehicle driver wants. So there's a lot of good stuff here. Again, it's pretty quick. It's pretty, as far as its abilities, I think it's pretty doggone good. For $465, I think it's great. So shortcomings, I would say the cable is short. You know, that's no pun intended. The cable is short. I'd love to see a little bit longer cable. Maybe they offer an extension, I don't know. We're not going to expect wireless for $465. I think its responsiveness on screen and the fastness aspect of it is pretty good. So I would say overall, you know, if we want to give this thing a rating from 1 to 10, you know, if we say value for $465, I'd give it a solid 8. You know, I mean, I think it's a good tool. I mean, you know, it's got some good attributes to it. I think it's a good solid 8 there. As far as construction goes, I tell you, you know, I haven't dropped it or messed around with it. But I mean, I can tell you, looks pretty solid, feels solid, got a good feel to it. Got some good holds here. You know, I'd give the construction on this thing, I'm going to go a solid 9 on that. You know, so I feel like this thing could probably beat around a little bit. And then overall ease of use. You know, I think this thing's pretty easy to use. I mean, you plug the thing in and the thing picks up the VIN number and you're off and running. And yeah, maybe have to go a couple little things, but you should, you know, those are going to be easy. I had to get the production date and what speed the transmission was. So different cars are going to be different on that, what you need to get. But I think ease of use, I think, you know, I'd give this thing, you know, I'd probably give it a 7. I think there's going to be some learning curve on something like this. I wish that it had, again, you know, I wish that it had a little bit better graphing capabilities, but again, it's $465. So I think for $465, the graphing, we could deal with that. I think this is a great tool for an entry-level technician that's just getting into the business. He needs something that he wants to be able to plug in, do reports on, and save those reports. I think it's good for a shop to buy. For those shops out there, you're doing pre-scans. Maybe like what we do here is our client care people, when they check the car in, they go out and they pre-scan the car before it ever comes in the building. It's a great tool for that. You saw how fast it was. That was 1 minute. So we could probably in less than 3 minutes have a full vehicle scan and have it emailed to us and have it on the invoice. I also think that for a do-it-yourselfer, this is a great tool for a do-it-yourselfer. You know, if you're in that price range of under $500, I think this is a great tool for under $500 to get you in the game and get you doing some graphing and get you some bidirectional controls. So that's our honest review of this thing. If you guys want to see more, you know, tool reviews, let us know. If you don't like tool reviews, let us know. You know, we want to do what you guys want. So, all right, thanks. Hope you liked the video. I know it's a little different content than we normally do. Let us know if you liked it or didn't like it. Give us a thumbs up no matter what. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you get notified of all videos that we put out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.